U of L and Bellarmine meet Sunday in a preseason game, but the beginning of that contest will be like any other. Part of what we're discussing tonight on CN2 Sports. Welcome, I'm Bruce Snyder. Also on the show, we'll show you why the Bengals had yet another primetime beatdown. We'll spotlight the best high school team in the state. We'll take a look at UK's big game against the Dogs and show you which college football teams will win tomorrow. But first, U of L plays Boston College Saturday night, and the Cards have already lost a key player. Defensive end Lorenzo Malden will be out for the game due to an injured hamstring. Malden hurt it in last week's loss against Florida State. So Malden won't play, and neither will junior defensive end Pio Vituve. He'll miss a second straight game, but you think the Cards are panicking? Think again.
No, you'll try to get a few more guys involved. Richardson can play a little bit. Brown can play some more. I think it's important that the big guys up front, you try to keep those guys fresh. Obviously, Pio's been a mainstay in what we've been doing, but it creates opportunity for other guys. And by doing that, sometimes injury creates depth in your team. And what I mean is when a guy goes down, maybe a guy that you wouldn't normally play as many snaps gets an opportunity to play, and then he showcases what he can do. And then all of a sudden, when a guy comes back, you have more depth. So I've always believed that injury sometimes can create depth. So it's an opportunity for our young players that maybe haven't played as much to get some snaps and show what they can do.
Saturday night's games at 7:15 on ESPN2. Now the quest for a sixth win and bowl eligibility continues for Kentucky this weekend with Georgia coming to town. Both teams coming off ugly performances last weekend, so it'll be a chance for a clean slate for both the Wildcats and Bulldogs. UGA 6-2 in a battle for the SEC East crown. Head coach Mark Stoops thinks it'll be a tough game for his team.
They bring a very good football team. I think they bring a power running team that we know has hurt us in the past as well, and that they could run the heck out of the football. And they're very talented. They could throw it. They're very balanced. They're playing great defense. Going back to their offense, I think they've only been held under 21 times this year. This past week, Florida played an inspired game, and give Florida credit. They played a great football game and held them to 20 points, which is amazing because nobody all year has held them under 34, 35. They think they're averaging 40 points a game. They're extremely hard to defend. So, if you just look at those numbers, we're going to need to score some points to have a chance to win this game.
KSTV's Thomas Beisner joining us now. I don't know, TJ. I just feel with Georgia coming off a loss to the Gators, I just feel like UK is catching the Dogs at possibly the worst possible time.
Yeah, and that's what you would think. And in the UK fan in me wants to hope that maybe you're just catching a team that lost all hope now at this point. Is going to go through the motions. It'll be interesting what we see because for Kentucky to beat Georgia and really even to compete with them into the fourth quarter, it's going to take a special effort from their big players, Bud Dupree on defense, Patrick Towles on offense, and the offense and defensive lines. They have to play better than they did against Missouri. They have to execute. But even on top of that, to win against a team that is as talented as I think Georgia is, you have to have a little bit of that magic, that upset magic, and it sets up on paper nicely for the Cats with a home crowd, the final home game of the year. It's senior night. You have a lot of players on that roster who were interested in Georgia from the state of Georgia. A guy like Boone Williams who was committed to Georgia. And in years past, take last year out of it, in years past, the UK has always played Georgia close. It's always been a competitive game for the most part. So there's a chance this team can compete, but it all comes back to execution and playing much better and much more disciplined than they did against Missouri.
And how about some more inspired play calling, especially offensively?
That's an interesting thing in trying to figure this out. That's kind of been the question on KSTV. We've been talking with people and discussing among ourselves. How much of it was the execution, which was a big part? How much of it was the play calling? Because it has not been the creative offense that we've expected to see when Neil Brown came in. And I think part of that is personnel dictates it. I think part of it is Mark Stoops wants more of a running game to help his defense out, to stay closer in football games when you play a team like Mississippi State. But I think part of it is poor play calling, not adjusting within the flow of the game if something's taken away. We've seen Neil Brown do a really good job of it earlier in the season. And at times over the last several games, we've seen a struggle. So it's a total team effort. And the coaches, including Neil Brown, will be the first to tell you everyone has to come better on Saturday. It has to be the coaches. It has to be the offense, the defense. Everyone has to be more disciplined, has to be smarter, and has to play a better football game because Georgia's way better than Missouri, and they look bad against Missouri on Saturday.
About 30 seconds to go. So we've got this game coming up, and then we've got Tennessee and Louisville. Yeah. You think Kentucky gets that sixth win?
I think they will get one. And we said a couple weeks ago, I said I think they'll get two.
Right.
I'm going to stick with that. I still think they're going to get 2. I don't think this is going to be the one, but I do think they'll beat Tennessee. I still like their chances against Louisville.
I'll tell you what, that's a good way to finish up the season.
Very good way for them to finish the year.
All right, Thomas Beisner, be watching for him on KSTV coming up at the bottom of the hour. Thanks a lot, TJ.
Thanks, Bruce.
Appreciate it. The 2014 season has been a little bit of a bumpy ride for the Hilltoppers, but WKU with a chance for redemption. It's a homecoming home game against UTEP. Unfortunately for WKU, this is a 5-3 Texas El Paso team that's only lost 1 conference game to date and is currently on a 3-game winning streak. Saturday's kickoff for the Toppers, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central in Bowling Green. And then there's Eastern Kentucky also in action this weekend with a big OVC showdown against Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks come to town with a 7-1 overall record, perfect 5-0 in conference play, and a number 4 ranking in the FCS coaches poll. Needless to say, it's a huge contest for head coach Dean Hood and the 15th ranked Colonels. Winner takes over the top spot in the Ohio Valley and likely puts themselves in prime position for a playoff bid. Saturday's game kicks off at 1 p.m. in Richmond. All right, now to college basketball, and a truly nice moment will happen at the beginning of Sunday's U of L Bellarmine exhibition. St. X junior Patrick McSweeney, who's battling leukemia, will suit up as part of the Bellarmine squad and will take the first shot for the Knights. Awesome experience for the 15-year-old and probably everyone in attendance. Then McSweeney hangs out on the Bellarmine bench and watches his preseason tune-up. And don't think this game will be a blowout. Bellarmine hung close to Cincinnati last Monday.
They'll make 7 to 10 passes, and then they'll go one-on-one, and they shoot the ball great. They pick and pop great. They're an improved team defensively. This is one of Scotty's better teams, especially they've gotten better defensively. There are times where some of the teams, because of their lateral quickness, weren't great defensively. This team's much better defensively than past teams, and they still have maintained the level of great offense. He'll be in the thick of this thing this year. He'll have a great shot at doing some great things.
One other note, Cards freshman guard Shaquan Aaron is out indefinitely because of eligibility issues. Pitino hopes to have everything resolved before the team heads to Puerto Rico and that Minnesota game. Sunday afternoon's game against Bellarmine starts at 12:30. Coming up, we'll take a look at one of the favorites as high school football playoffs gets underway in Kentucky. Plus, we'll break down all the biggest college games with our weekend warriors. It's next after this quick check of your CN2 forecast.